What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And as you can see today, I am on the PO-33. Now I've still got a lot of love for this device. I know there's been a lot of talk about the KO2 over the past couple of months since its release, but the PO-33 is still one of my favourite little samplers just because it's so capable for such a ridiculous looking thing. I mean, it looks like a little calculator, doesn't it? So what I thought I'd do today is kind of a roundup of tips. So I'm going to be sharing 10 little tips with you to make life on this device a little bit easier. Just before I start guys, I'd really appreciate it if you could check out all the links in my description. There's links to my shop, my beat packs, my merch, my accessories, and there's Amazon links and membership links and all those kinds of things. All those things help me keep doing what I'm doing here with the videos and with the channel. So if there's any way that you can support me, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone that's been picking up packs recently. It goes a long way, so I really do appreciate it. And yeah, if you could have a look at those links, that would be great. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get into these PO-33 tips. Now, this first one might be quite obvious, but I think this is a bit annoying sometimes, and it's a good one to remember. The volume control on this device is controlled by holding down BPM, and you can see here hopefully that I have 16 lights lit up. That is showing me that I'm on full volume. So basically those lights on the keys here are an indicator of how loud the output of this device is. Now, something that's really important to know is if I unplug this and press that again, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see because my thumb's in the way, but it's automatically lowered the level right down to 5. So that can be a little bit of a problem sometimes. Maybe you think the device is super quiet. This is probably the reason why. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, and I'm going to press BPM again, and again it's only lit up to 5. I don't know if you'll be able to see there, just the lights up to 5, and I'm going to go ahead and press 16, and now I know that the device is back up to full volume. I know that sounds like a bit of a stupid one, but you do have to be careful with that, and sometimes it can be a really puzzling thing when suddenly this device is very quiet, but that's all you have to do. Hold down BPM and choose 1 to 16 for however loud you want this device to output its volume. Okay, point number 2 is copying patterns. This is something that you're going to need for a number of different reasons on this device. Luckily, it's pretty easy to do with a key combination, so we're going to go ahead and listen to pattern 1 first of all. So I'm going to hit pattern and press 1, and let's give that a listen. Let's press play. Okay, and I want to copy that to pattern slot 2. So I'm going to do this key combination, which is write pattern. And basically what you want to do as the first step is make sure that you've got the pattern selected that you want to copy. So I'm going to press pattern and press 1. And now I know that that's the pattern that I've got selected. The next combination that you need to know is write and pattern at the same time. So you have to hold both of those at the same time, and it's easiest to do with your thumb and your finger because then you need to select a slot for the copied pattern to go into. So we're in pattern 1. I'm going to do write and pattern, and I'm going to press pot 2, and you should see that it said CPY on the screen, which confirms that it's been copied. Now if I go to pattern 2, so I'll press pattern and press slot 2, if I press play on that, and if I go to pattern 1, you can see there now we've got 2 identical patterns. This is going to come in so handy when you're making beats on this device. So just make sure you're in the pattern that you want to copy first, then do write and pattern at the same time and choose the slot where you want it to go. Choose the destination slot like that. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is step multiply. Now there's a few steps to this, no pun intended there, to get this to work, and I'm going to show you through those now. So if I show you this pattern which I'm playing, you'll be able to hear on the second hi-hat hit that step multiply is being used because it will sound like this because it doubles up on slot 3, on step 3. There's 2 hi-hat triggers instead of just the 1. So if I play this pattern, you'll be able to hear it. Hear that on the hi-hat. Okay, that's using step multiply. So first of all, you need to go into the bank of sounds that you want to edit. So for example here, let me explain that a little bit better. I'm on the hi-hat, so I want to make sure that I'm editing the hi-hat bank. So all my hi-hats are always on 15. So I'm going to press sound and press 15. I know I'm in my hi-hats bank now. And then I'm going to go ahead and press right at the bottom here. And you may not be able to see, but those steps are lit up now where I have the hi-hats on this pattern. Step 3 in particular is the one that I want to change. So we've got right on. You can see the square on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and press and hold pad 3 or step 3. And then I'm going to use the BPM button. And you can see here now on the screen it's saying TR, which is basically step repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 8. They're the options that you have. So let's put that all the way up to 8 and listen to that again. We'll turn off right and we'll listen to that again. Okay, and let's change that back to 4. And let's listen to that. So there you go, you can see the different options, you can see the effect that it has on that hi-hat. Basically, whatever step you're editing, it multiplies the amount of times the sample is triggered on that particular step. I think that could be useful for a range of different genres, but in particular, I think it would be good for trap. If anyone's making trap beats on the PO-33, firstly, that's wild in the first place, but yeah, that's how you would go ahead and create that sort of trappy hi-hat sound. Okay, the next tip which I've got for you is kind of more of a sort of workflow technique rather than actually a button combination or anything like that. So in my sound banks here, I've got sound banks 13, 14 and 15 loaded up with different drum sounds. So 13, I've got loads of different kicks. So if I go into 13, you can hear all my different kicks in there. If I go to 14, loads of different snares in there. So 16 kicks, 16 snares. And then in 15, 16 hi-hats. So what that enables me to do is just basically change the melody sample each time I want to make a new beat, and then I already know that I've got a library of drums there ready to use, and it just saves so much time. You don't have to record in drums every time that you want to make a new beat. So I will go ahead, make the melody, make the loop, record it out into whatever device that I need to, and then once I was happy that I'd finished that beat, I would just delete the melody, record in a new melody and start again with different drum sounds. So it just saves you so much time when you've got those drums preloaded in those slots like I have there. You can bash out beats pretty quickly with this thing when you've got those ready. There is an app which is very useful for this. I will leave a link in the description. I've used that for these drums and it makes loading them in a lot faster. So yeah, I'll definitely leave a link to that. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you is chaining patterns, and you're going to have to do this quite a lot with this device because you're limited to 2 bars by default. So you're limited to 16 steps. So if I play through this loop, okay, so it's just playing 2 bars and repeating it. But what if you have a melody which is longer than 2 bars? How do you go about approaching that? Well, this is where the pattern chaining will come in very handy for you. So if you have a 4-bar melody that you want to record, what you're essentially going to have to do is record 2 of the bars on one pattern and then 2 of the bars on the next pattern. So pattern 1, for example, up here, pattern 1, that would have the first 2 bars of the melody, and then pattern 2 would have the second 2 bars of the melody, and then you chain those together, and then when you add pattern 1 and pattern 2 together, you'll get a 4-bar loop. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this as quickly as I can. I've got a melody sound in here. I'm going to go ahead and write this in, and I'm going to do the first bit in pattern 1 and the second bit in pattern 2. So let's go ahead and try this. So you can see there I've recorded in the first half, and that's just going to keep looping without chaining. Okay, and then we're going to go to pattern 2, and let's just play that. It should just be the drums. Okay, perfect. And we're going to go ahead and record the second half of the loop. Okay, don't worry about the levels or anything at this point. I'm just showing you this as a demonstration. Now what I'm going to do is chain those 2 together, and that will create a 4-bar loop. And the way you do that is really simple. You press and hold the pattern button down, and while you're holding it down, you choose the order that you want the patterns to be in. So you can basically punch in a combination of patterns, and that will be the order that it plays it back. You can also press the same pattern multiple times, so if you wanted 1 3 times and then 2, you can do that. So I basically just want 1 and 2, one after the other. So I'm going to go ahead and press pattern and press 1 and then 2. And now if I play this back, I should get that 4-bar loop. Okay, that is really important, and that's how you're going to build longer melodies on this device. You have to chain those patterns together and make sure that different bits of the bar are in different patterns. It's a little bit complicated, but once you get into it, it actually becomes quite easy to sort of separate those out and record them. Okay, the next one, and this is probably one of the best hacks on the PO-33, and that is sample chopping. So if I go to my sounds here and go to 1, you can hear that I've got this melody. And when you record into the melodic sound banks, you can see here that it kind of puts it on this chromatic scale. That can be quite fun in itself to make beats, but most of us here on this channel and the community around this, we love chopping up samples, right? So this is really easy to do as well. So basically, I've recorded into melody 1, so I'm just going to make sure that that's selected. And then what you're basically going to do is copy that melodic bank into a drum bank, and that is then going to chop up the sample into 16 equal parts. So make sure that sound bank is selected, sound 1. You can see it says 1 on the screen. And then I'm going to do write and sound at the same time, and you can see on the screen it's flashing saying it's CPY. Copy, and I'm going to copy that into 6. That's a drum bank. Make sure it's one of the drum banks. Okay, so I've done that, and then I'm going to go to sound and 6, and now we can play through these and you'll hear that it's chopped it into 16. Okay, so you've got all those chops there. You can edit the start and end points of those. You do need a lot of patience to do that, but you can do that. And then, yeah, you've got that split over the pads. And that is essentially how I make most of my beats. I find combinations in the chops that I like and record those onto the step sequencer. So that's probably one of the most popular sort of hacks on this device, and it opens it up massively, and you're able to then make loops with sampled chops, and that's really, really fun. Okay, the next tip is for getting more data on this device than it should actually be allowed to hold. So there's about 45 seconds of data I think you can have on the PO-33, but you can cram in more if you record in a sample faster than it actually plays back originally. So for example, if you have a turntable, it's quite easy to do this because you should have a button on there to be able to change the speed that the record's playing back. So what you can do is increase the speed of the record, the playback of the record, record it into the device. So for example, 30 seconds worth of sample time will end up being 20 seconds, and then use the pitch inside the PO-33 to pitch down that sample and slow it down again. And then you've essentially crammed more data into this device than it should be able to hold. You've recorded a chunk in quicker than it should be, and then expanded it again on the PO-33 using the pitch. I'm sorry that I haven't got an example to actually show you this. I may do a separate video because it's a technique which is used a lot on loads of old school devices to get more data into them. So I'll probably do a separate video about that very soon. But yeah, just know that if you can speed up a sample, whether you use a DAW to do that or a turntable or your SP, you can record that data into this and then slow it down again with the pitch once it's in here, and you've basically crammed more data in than it should be allowed to take. So that's a really useful tip if you need more than the sort of 20 to 30 seconds worth of sample time to make a beat with. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to show you, and I kind of showed you earlier in this video, is live recording chops or anything for that matter into the step sequencer. It's the way I prefer to record things, and especially when it comes to the melodies. So let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm going to press write and take out all the existing data that's in there in bank 1, and let's press play on that, and it should just be the drums again. Okay, perfect. Now what you want to do is make sure that write is turned off, so you can't see the square on the screen, you see. So if the square's on the screen like that, make sure you hit right to turn it off. And the first thing I'm going to do is make sure the right sound bank is selected. So I'm going to press sound and 5. That's my chops. And now I'm going to press play. And while play is going, at any point when you want to drop in some sounds, I'm going to press right and hold it. And at the same time as I'm holding right, I'm going to press in whatever chops that I want in this beat. So I'll show you an example now, and then hopefully when I've shown you an example, you'll understand what I mean. So we'll press play. Okay, and now I'm going to hold right. And I'm going to wait for it to come round. You see what I did there? So I was holding right, I punched in the sounds that I wanted, and then the PO-33 automatically put that onto the grid for me. Let me just do that again to show you. So make sure right's off, press play, hold right. And you can hear there it's punched it into the step sequencer, but I didn't have to go through manually doing it, which makes it a lot easier. So yeah, that's a big tip. I think that's super handy, like I say, especially for when you're punching in melodies. I find that really, really useful. Okay, we've made it all the way to tip 10. This is going to be quite a long video, I think, but hopefully these tips have been really useful. The last tip that I want to show you, this is actually a bit of a silly one because basically I couldn't think of a tip number 10, but I wanted to do 10 tips. So this is a legit thing that I actually do, but it's a bit of a silly one. If you are running your PO-33 caseless like I am, and you're using batteries like I am, and I've got these really crappy batteries in this, so they don't last very long. If you want to save battery life, what you can do is turn the device to the side a little bit. You can just prise the battery out like this, but you can actually still keep it in the PO-33. So you can see there, the battery's not going anywhere. It's actually still quite secure in there. And if I look at the device, there's not actually any power to the device. So it's not draining the battery when it's just sat there. The battery's just popped out like that, but it's still in the holder. And then that'll just be on my desk somewhere. And then when I want to actually use the device, all I have to do is pop that battery in, and then the device boots up for me. So it's just a little way of saving a bit of battery power if you don't have a cover for your device. I'll just go ahead and do that now because I've finished the video. So I can pop that out, just have it in there like that. The power's off. And I'm done with the PO-33 here, so I don't need that power anymore. This is going to save me some battery time. So that's it for this video, guys. That was one hell of a video to record, having to go through and remember all those combinations and everything. So I'd really appreciate a thumbs up if you can. I really hope these tips help you on this device. Like I mentioned earlier, don't forget to check out all my links in the description. You can support what I do here. Until next time, guys, keep making beats, and I will be back with more content very, very soon.